All right, congratulations for being region championships. How does it feel?
Feels great. We worked for it, so getting to that win, it really made everybody happy. Just sticking together. So.
Yeah, obviously, being in my position is definitely something that you believe that your young men can achieve, but it's definitely even more worthwhile, once they obviously accomplish all the hard work and all the sacrifices that they've done since June. It's good to be able to see it on one day that they see it all comes out to fruition.
The game was pretty electric. What was going through your mind at the end?
We was like blocking out the noise, just stay with each other, keep it together. Everybody keep their composure, just play with each other. Don't worry about emotions and how the game going and the fans and the crowds. So. Yeah,
obviously it's a lot of emotions. Obviously being in year 2, having obviously 5 returners, knowing all the sacrifices that they made over the last 2 years to be in a position like that. My biggest thing was, getting to 0 and allowing the fans and all the supporters, obviously our administrators, our student section who was electric, obviously our players to just be able to enjoy that moment. So.
All right, so the next game, round 1's tonight at 7 at Greer Middle College, right? Against
yes.
Crescent.
Correct.
So what is your game plan for tonight?
Continue to do what we've been doing. Obviously, these games of their magnitude, we've been talking about it, since our very first loss in region play, that every game now becomes a playoff game if we wanted to achieve the opportunity that we was able to achieve on Thursday. And so my guys are mentally prepared. I think that, when you get late in the season, physically, it can kind of be a little bit hard on everybody. But I do think they're, for the most part, are in a great place. Now it's just going out there and trusting the work that we've done up until this point, understanding that certain things are going to change game by game because now you haven't seen these teams but one time, if at all. And so hopefully, we allow ourselves not to get too high nor too low and just kind of stay in the moment.
Is there one particular thing you're thinking about going into tonight's game against Crescent?
No, just keep, we don't get these days and moments back, so just keep stacking days and, just staying with each other and having fun on the court most of all and, just win, win, win.
All right, Michelle, go ahead. Let's start over there. Yep, go.
And what's your favorite song to listen to after winning?
Say what now?
What's your favorite song to listen to after winning?
Yeah, so I don't get on the ops after the game. I let them do it. So he probably can answer that right now better than I.
Probably after a win, probably a Young Boy song. Yeah, probably a Young Boy song.
I'll keep going over there. Just go around the room.
Has the team's mindset changed at all going into the playoffs?
Not really knowing. It changed a little, just knowing that it's like our last moments to get to know each other or being with each other. But game-wise, it's still the same thing. Just stay the same standard. Just keep it all good. We straight.
Yeah, that's a great question. Obviously, in my seat, you always are looking to see if guys take the success we've had, obviously in the regular season, to continue to the top of their head. And kind of get a little complacent, but we had 2 days off after Thursday's game, and we got back on the court last night, and to see how stoic my guys still were, they were kind of really locked in and focused on getting to the next thing. So the mindset hasn't changed. We just know the mission is a little bit different, right? So we knew we was fighting to try to win a region. Now we're trying to fight to try to win a state championship.
Is there anything special you guys did before the championship game?
Anything special?
Yeah, anything you guys did special?
I don't really say nothing special. We really just do the same thing before every game. Listen to music, stretch, lock in, get some shots up in the gym, come back, lock in, and have fun, pray, and we just be set, ready to hoop.
Yeah, we're creatures of habit, right? So they may think we're a little bit boring at times because we kind of do what we do and we try to do it to the best of our ability. So we know the game of that magnitude was already what was different. I didn't need to do anything else that make it even separate, right? So, my biggest thing is to try to keep my guys as calm and composed as I possibly can knowing that especially in that type of environment, it was going to allow them to kind of probably be all over the place with their emotions. So my thing was let's keep everything kind of simple.
What would you tell your past self knowing that you made region champions this year?
You said, what would I tell my past self?
Yeah.
Just stay true to myself. Obviously, it's hard, because you're trying to, especially coming to a place like MVP, even though we're in year 2, we're still fairly new. And so none of these guys knew me. I didn't know them. And I knew that the process worked, but I had to continue to try to get them to believe in it and trust in it and ultimately make sacrifices. This young man that's beside me right now, he probably would tell you that I was probably the hardest on him since the first time I met him. But he's also been the young man that's made probably the biggest leaps and bounds in terms of sacrificing, not just for himself, but for his teammates. And so these are the guys, and they're the reason why we are, in a position to be region champions. So, for me as a coach, is try not to allow myself to get down on what the outside noise is saying. And when things aren't going as planned early on, you just stay true to who you are and continue to do the things that is going to help this group. How would you answer that?
Repeat the question
again. What would you tell yourself now that you won region champs? What would you tell your past self?
To push past my limits, I always had this one thing that stopped me from really wanting to do what I wanted to do. But now that I see, I always been knew that we could do it. So it's just tell my past self that you can always do it. You need everybody to be able to do something. You don't need just yourself, and you don't gotta just try to do everything yourself. You gotta have everybody do it, and you'll succeed in life. So that's what I tell.
What do you want your players to focus on most this game?
Say it again.
What do you want your players to focus on most this game?
That's a great question, obviously, because every situation requires you to be different, right? But I think for me, the number one thing, we always talk about is to play the game like it's your last. So for us, we give relentless effort no matter what we're doing, right? And then play for each other. I think that you get respect from your peers when they see that you're maximizing your opportunity to the best of your ability, but then you're also being selfless as well because you want to see the other person beside you have just as much success as you do. And when you do that, obviously it shows that the entire team can have success versus one individual. And basketball is a hard sport, right? Because everybody sees your face and there's only one basketball. And so people know when Maori has the basketball, it's right. It's not like, oh, who's that guy up under a helmet, or who's that guy that has that batting hat on. Basketball is kind of a knowing sport. So to get your guys to be able to play for each other, especially in the magnitude, of the type of game we had the other day, it can be tough. But our guys, this is a special group. I'll say that. And so we talk about player-led team versus a coach-led team. And they truly have grown to become more of a player-led team. So there's not much I have to say to them that they haven't already said to themselves now or to one another. Great question, though.
Next.
How are you guys feeling with everything going on? How do you guys feel?
To be honest, I feel like I felt last Monday, right? Seriously, I'm very excited. Obviously very happy for the school, happy for our guys, happy for the students, because again, before 2 years ago, MVP was not known, as a school, not even talking about as sport. So to see these things come to fruition, is definitely worthwhile and definitely a great sight to see. But like I told my guys yesterday, good teams can win region games. Great teams, they compartmentalize those things and they move on to the next mission. And so, our next mission right now is to try to fight to have another day with each other. And we have to get past tonight's game, which is going to be a tough test because Crescent, despite anybody's record, everybody's 0-0. And 32 minutes are now what's in, way of playing, being able to practice tomorrow or turn in your uniform tomorrow. And so, we're excited, but we celebrated, and now it's time to move on to the next mission. How would you answer that, young fella? See, he's probably still on his high horse. He's probably still excited.
Definitely excited that we won region champ. But like Coach was saying, we get excited for it. We still happy about that we did that and accomplished that because that was one of our goals to do. But can't live in the past. You got to always look in the future. So next step is to get to the state championship, but most important to be able to spend another day with each other because we know we won't get this back with each other. So
that sounds like you listen to me.
What was going through your mind in the final minutes of the game?
What was going on in my mind the final minutes? That our guys don't turn the ball over. that was going on in my mind. Just that our guys stay composed, not turn the ball over, and make free throws. So, again, that was a great game. Obviously, hats off to Chapman because they had an unbelievable season as well, and, they got an opportunity to, complete a mission as well. They start their playoff game today to obviously have their road to the state championship. And so, in that situation for me, my guys have been in those situations a lot, and we've been on the other end of it, to where we were the losers. And so it was good just to see the growth of my group, and I think they will kind of say the same thing. Last year, it was our first year, we were hoping to win those type of games, right? We were hoping to get out of the game when we were up. This year we knew we could win those type of games, and so I felt like that was the energy that my guys gave toward the end of the game. They were calm. They were poised. They didn't allow themselves to get rattled when they missed a free throw and or turn the ball over in a critical moment. They figured out how to move on to the next best thing. We always talk about find your value in the next best thing, and so I think that's what those guys chose to do in those final minutes of the game. So.
What do these next few weeks look like for y'all as a team?
You know what, buddy? I hope we have a few more weeks. I really do. For us now, man, it's just day by day. You know what I mean? Like, obviously, you don't want to I always tell my guys we can't put the carriage in front of the horse, right? And so we have to make sure that we take the right steps to be able to have a few more weeks, right? So today is all about the process. We got to complete the mission today, which is obviously beat Crescent, and then we obviously regroup for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday to prepare for our opponent on Friday. Everything now gets harder. You know what I mean? Like, I told my guys now, our opponent on Friday is already preparing for one or two teams. You know what I mean? Which is us or Crescent. So you're not going to surprise anybody. You're not going to sneak up on anybody. People know who you are. And so, our goal now is to just mentally, emotionally, and physically be ready to go. So.
What are the benefits of working with the basketball players?
What are the benefits? To get to know them as people first. I think Mayor is probably one of the better basketball players I've been around, especially at the high school level, but he's even a better young man. And as much as that sounds as cliche, we spend more time probably on the basketball court together than off the court, but the time that we do have off the court, we're very intentional about it. And so to get to know these young men as people outside of themselves, knowing more about their parents, knowing about their siblings, I think that's something that they all can probably, attest to, that we really are a really close-knit group. And so it's allowed us to truly have the success we've had because we know who we are as people more so than just as a basketball player. But that's my benefit of working with them. Great question. How are you preparing for the playoffs, sir?
Like Coach was saying, everything gets harder. Everybody, we all go back to 0-0. We went 1-0 during the season, winning region. Now we go in the playoffs, everything get harder. Every team, I wouldn't say necessarily get better, but every team starts off new. They start off different. So, just keep doing the same thing we've been doing. A little bit more pressure, a little bit more, everything. So, we just go into every game with a different mindset to work harder, do more, like dive on the ball, take every charge, take every advantage we get as a steal. So, just doing the right thing and just going 100% in everything we do.
Yeah, you know, for me, Jada, it's different, right? Because, you know, some of my guys that was with us last year, we were unfortunately lost in the first round of the playoffs. And so we haven't seen what it looks like to prepare for round 2 or round 3 in the upper state and the state. And so some of my guys, majority of all of my guys, have never seen basketball outside of the first round. And so my biggest thing is kind of what he just started speaking about, was the mental side of the game, right? Understanding that everything is pressure, but we don't have to allow that pressure to break us. And so physically, my guys will be ready. Mentally and emotionally is where I have to make sure I am doing the best I can to have them prepared, because, you know, these are experiences that they've never seen, right? They've never been in a playoff game. They've never realized that, you know, we talk about it all the time. When you get to the fourth quarter, you look at the 4-minute mark and you're down 5, that could be the last 4 minutes that you ever play basketball in high school. And so it's not, well, we got another game on Friday. And so that's an emotional part, right? That's the mental part, right? Is that a person that's going to get scared and, you know, be afraid and think, okay, my season's over with? Or is that a person that say, okay, I'm going to give everything I possibly have in these final 4 minutes to not let this be the last time we play together? And so for the most part, I think my returners understand that, but he's going to be in a situation that he's going to learn something that's going to prepare him for the playoffs tonight. And so, you know, I think for us, again, just taking it day by day, being honest with each other is very critical in our program, because again, that's the best way to be uncomfortable to grow, you know. And so when our guys take that aspect and approach, I do think we'll be playing our best basketball here in the next few weeks.
What else are you guys thinking about or want people to know as we go into tonight's game?
I mean, you know, for us, I think this group is a special group. You know, it's a special group, and you know, I can be biased because I'm the head coach and I see these guys every day, but you know, these are great young men that have sacrificed and done a lot to get to this point. And I think that Thursday night showed us, you know, the support that we have in this building and in this community. And so for us is, you know, continue to rally behind them. You know, we don't expect to have the atmosphere that we've had on Thursday every night, but continue to rally behind these guys, because that was a huge bonus, and we call it a 6th man for us, you know, on Thursday night to help us get over the hump. And so I think these guys are going to be in another situation like that, and I hope everybody is ready to do the same thing, to try to rally behind them and let them continue their season.
So Mayori, just one last thing for you two. What do you want to say to the students about coming out tonight?
You know, just be ready to keep traveling, because we're going to keep moving on. So.